Welcome to our webinar, Preparing Your Red Raider for On-Campus Living. We are excited to have all of you joining us this afternoon. My name is Christine Self with Parent and Family Relations, and joining me today are Dee Nguyen from Hospitality Services and Emma Peach from University Student Housing. This webinar is part of our Red Raider Family webinar series, where we share information on topics of interest to parents, families, and supporters of our students. We hope this webinar will help you better understand what to expect with your student living and dining on our campus. As you can see on the screen, we have an upcoming webinar planned for early September. It's called Finishing Touches, and during that webinar, we'll share tips and reminders as your student begins the fall semester. We plan to keep this webinar to about 30 minutes or so. If there's time at the end, we'll open it up for questions using the Zoom Q&A feature. In the meantime, feel free to type in your questions throughout the presentation. We also have some folks behind the scenes who can help answer your questions. We are recording this session and posting it to our website so that you'll be able to review it again later or share it with others. We will also email the recording link to the email you used when you registered for the webinar. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll turn it over to Dee.
Thanks, Christine, and welcome everybody. So I get to start out in the appropriate time, lunchtime. So again, thank you for taking time out of your day to get to know what you need to live and to dine on campus. So Hospitality Services, we serve as the campus dining department at Texas Tech University. That's another way to say that we're self-operated. And we pride ourselves in being Red Raiders feeding Red Raiders. So everything that it takes to run and operate dining services on a collegiate campus is done in-house here on campus in Lubbock, Texas. We have a really strong dynamic team that makes up our IT area, finance, register, marketing, catering, our amazing food service staff and management, and our culinary team. I'd like to take a moment to highlight our culinary team led by Executive Chef Dewey McMurray. He's a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York, and he and his team come up with the creative, delicious recipes that you see in all of our dining facilities, with the exceptions of franchises like Starbucks and Chick-fil-A, because they already have tried and true recipes, and we know that the students love them. So by now, you should have a room, which means you also have a dining plan. So kudos to you parents and your students for getting one thing checked off. And really all you have to worry about now is getting to Lubbock and moving them in. As far as dining plan choices go for our students living on campus, you have the option of 3. We've got the red and black dining plan, Matador, and our double T, red and black being our highest, Matador is the middle, and double T is our lowest plan option. Now, all 3 dining plans operate like a declining balance. Think of it like a massively loaded gift card on your student's Texas Tech ID, and they get discounts. So depending on the level that you chose, your student gets a preset amount of dining bucks or dollars to spend at any Hospitality Services dining location. And I'm happy to share that the day your student moves in, they are going to have access to be able to use their dining plan, and we will have dining facilities open. Now, what we'll share, we will have modified hours of operation and location availability, but we'll share that information in advance with you. Please visit our website, which Brianna has graciously shared with you there, and our hours should be posted as early as August. Now, with the 3 levels that you selected, you do have flexibility and options. You can add to your plan at any time. There's no additional fees. You add $100, your student gets 100 dining bucks, and they get to utilize the amazing discounts at all of our dining facilities. Your dining bucks roll over. If your student lives on campus their second year, 100% of their unused balance will roll over to their next living and dining contract. If your student will be living off campus their second year, 50% will roll over to what we call a Master Rider dining plan, and I'll go into that more in depth in just a moment. Now, you do have options as well, raising or lowering your plan by the 20th class day. The best advice I can give parents and families on this one is to check your students' balance by Thanksgiving. If they have about 200 dining bucks left over on their account, I encourage you to lower their dining plan. If you've had to add 200 or more, you might consider raising your student's dining plan. So either way, check your student's balance at Thanksgiving and adjust accordingly. Some cases, and these are the extreme cases, we see students who have, let's say they carry over 200 at the end of the fall semester. More than likely, they eat the same way in the spring and they carry over another 200. So now we're looking at May, and your student has an excess of balance of 400 dining bucks. And if they're moving off campus, well, you're trying to scramble and find ways for them to spend it. We can certainly accommodate through our bulk ordering processes and encouraging students to eat on campus more. But again, remember the fact that you can change your plan and adjust accordingly to prevent that situation from happening. I mentioned discounts multiple times. And so pretty much kind of like you do at a restaurant, you walk in, you have menu items, you have menu prices. Your student can order whatever they would like from our facilities, and they're going to get a total bill. Well, depending on where they dine, they'll get 20 to 50% discount off that total bill. I'll give you an example. The market at Stango Mardeau, let's say they get a $10 meal there. Well, they get a 50% discount. So rather than charging them $10, we only charge them $5. And that $5 dining bucks is deducted from their current balance. And we'll go even more specific. So let's say you pick the Matador, right? You start out with 1,005 dining bucks. Well, we just dined at the market and spent $5. So now I go from 1,005 down to 1,000. So that's an example in which your discount works. Let's talk about dining locations. So we offer 26 dining facilities. And we can go next slide, please. So we offer 26 dining facilities on this map that you see here. There are blue circles with numbers in them. The red buildings are the residence halls, and some highlighted here are academic areas or areas that students like to hang out, like over at the leisure pool or over at the student union building. We have an open dining program. So your student doesn't have to live in that building. They don't have to have class in that building. They can walk in and dine with us at any time. And I'm happy to share, we have locations open as early as 7 in the morning until midnight, 7 days a week. So no matter where your student is on campus, we have dining facilities available to them. Some of you may have had a chance to visit Texas Tech already. We're a fairly large campus. And I get it. Sometimes walking from Snead Hall all the way over to the Wiggins complex is very far away. However, the university has a really great bus system. So kind of you can essentially see that circle that from Hornap over to Hewlett Clement, up to Murray, back over to Bledsoe Gordon. You can go in a circle clockwise and counterclockwise and ride the bus to be able to go to any of our facilities if it's snowing and raining and they don't want to walk anywhere. Or maybe your student has decided to bring a scooter, they could scooter or bike over to our dining facilities. So no matter where they are, 7 in the morning till midnight, 7 days a week, we do have dining available for them. All right, so what's coming and what's new? So I'm happy to share Wiggins, formerly known as Sam's Place West, is undergoing a complete renovation. We've heard back from our students that they love seating and the ability to have camaraderie and find community. So we are expanding our seating area in the Wiggins complex to provide more opportunities for students to get together. And then you can still find a lot of the great options in Wiggins dining, just with a nice refresh and a rebrand. So some examples in Wiggins dining are going to include Boar's Head Deli sandwiches, build your own salads and smoothies, a Mexican food concept, an expanded Chick-fil-A. We're moving away from an express model to kind of a full service model, similar to what you can find at the Student Union building, and a lot of great options like our expanded retail area, which is grab and go. Chick-fil-A at Rawls is getting a refresh in the front of house as well, so it'll look brand new there. And then we have a lot of exciting changes at the Commons. The Commons is really great because it's a 2-story multi-purpose dining facility that features all kinds of cuisines. On the first floor, we are adding Khan's Mongolian Grill, so your student can get kind of that grill flat top Asian stir fry that they're looking for. On the second floor of the Commons, we're adding Parias. So Parias used to be downstairs, it's now going to move upstairs, and it serves Tex-Mex food. I'm happy to share that we're expanding that line to also include street tacos. And we have Just Say Cheese, which is our gourmet sandwich line, and we're adding a mac and cheese bar to that as well. So some exciting changes new for this upcoming year. Now, coming soon, this is a plan for our off-campus students. So currently, it's called the Commuter Dining Plan. Well, effective August 1st, it's undergoing a name change, and that's all that it is, a simple name change. Structurally, it works the exact same way as a commuter plan, and if your student is a current commuter dining plan holder, there's nothing that they need to do. So we're just calling it the Mass Rider Dining Plan. Again, it's a plan for off-campus students. How does it work? Think of it like purchasing a gift card. You can add $50 up to $300 in $50 increments. Each time you add money, there's a $2.50 fee, but that money is loaded on their Texas Tech ID. And just like our on-campus students, they can go into any dining facility. They'll get a total bill, and they get a 15% discount at all of our dining facilities. This plan is really structured because a student lives off campus. Maybe you're local and they're going to go home and eat with you. They're going to go off campus and eat, or they just really don't dine on campus anymore. But when they do, when they grab that occasional Starbucks or Chick-fil-A, or they have that 4-hour block of classes during lunchtime and they want to come dine at Fresh Plate at Wall Gates, by having a dining plan, you're saving them money. We'll accept debit or credit cards in our dining facilities, but an off-campus student with a Mass Rider dining plan gets a 15% discount. So why not save them some money there? All right. So other resources, I mentioned before, but we're more than just dining. And students these days love convenience. Transact Mobile Ordering. This is an app your student should absolutely download. It is completely free. And by free, I mean, one, it's free to download. Two, it links to their dining plan. And the more you use it, the more points you get, free points no less. And then you can redeem those free points for swag items like shirts, hats, and also in-app credits, which is just more free food. So this is a mobile order app for pickup. Students can essentially pick from one of our select dining locations, order their food, pay for it with their dining plan, get that discount, and then by the time they get to our facility, it's ready for pickup. Now they're welcome to dine in with us, or they can take it to go. So the two examples I love to give students that live on campus: order food from your phone, get ready for the day. By the time you go downstairs, boom, it's ready. If you get out of class, let's say you have class in the Rawls, order food, you can go over to the market. Well, by the time you get out of class and to the market, you skip the line and your food's ready to go. So super easy, super convenient app that's free for our students. Smart choices. So for any student who has a special dietary need, you have a top 9 allergy, you're a vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, you're looking for halal, whatever it is, we can feed all kinds of students. And Mindy Diller, registered dietitian, is a free resource to you. On our website is an extensive guide and kind of resources that you as a student can look through, and you all as a family member. But if you'd like, you can meet with Mindy Diller in person, by email, or over the phone, and she can kind of help guide students to whatever resources they need. Social media. So parents, I know most of you guys are on Facebook. If you happen to be on Instagram, X, or YouTube, I encourage you to follow us at Eat at Texas Tech. Every now and then, just like everywhere else, in Lubbock, it snows. And sometimes we might have to close a little bit early or open a little bit later, just depending on the weather, out of the safety of our staff. So we share a lot of this important information through our social media channels. We do giveaways, which parents, you guys can win too. And then we also do special dining events. These are kind of designed in addition to what we already offer on campus and to kind of change up a student's dining experience. We do use a dessert theme pop-up. So you can look forward to caramel apples around Halloween, or chocolate covered strawberries on Valentine's Day. We do cultural cuisines because food is global. So you can look forward to a Cajun day, smash burgers, Asian food, all kinds of really exciting things to kind of change up your students' dining experience is shared through our social media sites. Now you all will have this recording, but all the information that I also talked about is available through our website. You can always reach out to us by email or by phone. More than likely, you're going to get to interact with myself or Kyle, who is here serving as a chatter. But that is all I have, I believe. And I think it's my turn to turn it over to Emma with housing.
Awesome. Thank you, Dee. Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Emma Peach. I work for University Student Housing. We are gearing up for move-in over here, and we are super excited to welcome your students to campus. So I'll kind of be going over what you guys can expect, particularly with move-in, and just answer some of the questions that you have. I also have Killian Parker. He's our chatter, answering some questions. He's a student assistant, so unlike me, he's a student himself. So if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A. So the first thing that I always like to point out, and I'm sure many of you have heard this already at this point, is that we do have a first year residency requirement at Texas Tech. This is for all first time students on our campus. So that can be freshmen fresh out of high school, they're just coming to college for the first time. And it can also be for our transfer students who maybe went to a junior college or are transferring from another university. They are also considered first time students at Texas Tech, so they will still have that residency requirement as well. We can go on to the next one. So once students live on campus for a year, they have fulfilled that requirement, or there are options to be exempt from that rule. To live off campus, students do have to be approved for an exemption. It is a separate application process. So if your student is a transfer student coming in with, let's say 60 hours, they finished some schooling at another university and they're coming in with hours, and you think, oh, they don't have to live on campus. They still do, and they will still have a housing hold on their account until they either one, sign up for housing, or do an exemption and are approved for that. That is the most popular one. That's why I give it as an example. We do see a lot of transfer students coming in, and if they have more than 30 credit hours post high school, so no concurrent hours or anything like that, then we can just look over their transcripts, which they would need to submit to us, and verify those hours, and then they can be let out of that residency requirement. We do have other ones. There's financial hardship, medical reasons. There are a few different applications that students can put in if you just feel like having them on campus is not going to be the best thing for them. But the biggest thing that we always need to stress is to make sure that people understand that that hold is going to stay on their account until this is gone, and that includes if they sign an off-campus lease. So please do not sign any off-campus leases until you are cleared by our office to go off campus. If you still have that housing requirement on your account and say, oh, I signed an off-campus lease already, what do I do? You might still have to pay for housing on campus in addition to that off-campus lease, which we do not want. We don't like doing that. So please just make sure that if you're thinking about off-campus living for your student, that you check out our website. It's under off-campus eligibility, like it says right there on the screen. And you can look through and see if any of those options apply to your students. The last day that we can accept those applications is going to be the start of our contract period, which is August 15th this year. We can move on to the next one. Thank you, Christine. All right, so for those of you who are going to have students moving on campus in just a few weeks, it's crazy. It's coming up really fast. All students have until July 28th to pick a tech-in time slot. So students have the opportunity to pick their exact date and time when they're going to move in. So hopefully a lot of you have already done this. We're working with a lot of students right now in our office, just making sure everybody is aware of this program. Essentially, this is our way to kind of control traffic, make sure it's a smooth process for everyone. But students can go online now and just go back to that same housing application where they signed up in the first place. And like you'll see on the screen, it's going to be right there at the top in Tech-in time slot 2024 is what they're going to be looking for. So they can go on there. Our move-in time slots are between August 15th and the 18th, starting all the way up at 8 in the morning, going till about 7:30 p.m. And you guys can just pick what is best for you and your families. As I said, it is kind of our way to control traffic. So please take a look at that before you just show up. This is also our way of knowing who is planning on coming and maybe who's not and just forgot to cancel a contract. So this is why we have that deadline of July 28th. So please make sure your students have their time slot. If they have not selected one already, do so before the 28th. Move on. So what can you expect when you come for a time slot? This is, like I said, going to minimize a lot of waiting for you. So at that time, say your student has an 8 a.m. time slot, they're moving into Weymouth Hall. You will go straight to Weymouth at 8 in the morning, pull right up to the building. We'll have people out there directing traffic, telling you where to go, and you will be able to have a spot for your car right outside of the building. That way you're not trying to trek all of their things from a parking lot that might be across campus. So you'll pull up right to the building. We do have our staff who's going to be out there helping. The biggest thing that your student needs to make sure they have that day, it's not going to be their toothbrush, not their suitcase, it's going to be their ID. So make sure that they have their ID, because that is how we verify that they have a reservation with us and that they are here to stay and that we can give them a key. So they do have to be present for the time slot. You cannot bring their ID and check in for them. They do have to be here to get their key. And then after that time, where you've got your car out front, you unload, you will need to move your car to a different lot. We'll direct you where to go at that time. But that key is in your student's hand, and you guys can come and go as often as you need. Parents and family, you can be with your students throughout the day, but you do need to be escorted by them at all times if you are in the room or in the residence hall past the lobby. This is just for the safety of everybody. And like I said, this is just going to allow you guys a smoother process. So if anything needs to change, you guys can change your time slots if needed. Just going back to that same website. So if you're running late, if you're delayed, you can see if there's a later time slot, or you can contact our office and we can see what kind of wiggling we can do for you. All right, move on. If you guys have not already checked it out, our website is a really awesome resource for what to bring, what not to bring if you're not sure what your student's going to need here on campus. We've got pretty comprehensive lists. I already mentioned the ID, that's going to be a big one. I'm sure most students are used to carrying those around. They'll also have their student ID if they've come to orientation already, so make sure they have that. Some other things that we like to point out is that we do not provide bed linens. So make sure that those are purchased and brought along. And we also recommend a mattress pad. It's not necessary, but we recommend it. Most of our halls are going to have twin XL size beds, with the exception of Hewlin Clement and Wall Gates. Those are going to have standard twins. So just pay attention to that when you're purchasing bedding. Prescribed medications can be picked up on campus if you transfer them to the correct pharmacy, but just make sure your student has enough to get them started. And then Dee mentioned the weather. We have crazy weather if you're not from West Texas. This is my warning to you. We have winter and summer in the same week sometimes. So make sure your students are packing for cold and warm weather. They might need it in just a couple days span. And then when it comes to appliances, students can have a small refrigerator, 3.5 cubic feet or smaller. And then they can have a microwave in their room as well if it's 1500 watts or lower. Those can be one per room if your student is in a traditional style hall. So we recommend reaching out to roommates, just seeing if, hey, do you have a microwave? I'll bring the mini fridge, and coordinating that way. And that way there's not too many things in the room. We can move on to the next one. The list of what not to bring is a little bit longer than the list of what to bring, but most of it is common sense items. Alcohol is not permitted on campus, only in our West Village B residence hall, which is for students 21 and over. Everywhere else it's not going to be permitted. And then most of these are going to be things that are going to spark a flame that we do not want in our residence halls. So toasters, hot plates, George Foreman grills, air fryers. We do have some pretty stringent requirements from the fire marshal on what is safe to have in our buildings when we've got so many students living in close quarters. So please take a look at that list before you buy any small appliances, because chances are they probably won't be permitted in the residence halls. Students can have a small crock pot, a Keurig coffee maker, a couple different things here and there, but most things we ask that you not bring. And then when it comes to pets, they will not be allowed in the residence halls either. And if your student has an emotional support animal or a service animal, they can be allowed on campus if they go through the proper channels. So as long as they are registered with the Student Disability Services Office, and then with our office as well, we can allow those animals on campus. This is really important to us because what we do is we make sure roommates are not allergic. So if your student's bringing an emotional support cat, we would need to reach out to their roommates and just say, hey, are you okay with this? Do you have allergies? And make sure we don't have any students who won't be incompatible with those animals living with your students. Besides that, they can have a fish in a 5-gallon tank or smaller, and they don't have to register that fishy with anybody. But I get asked a lot, well, can my student bring his snake or cockroaches or whatever, because they live in a fish tank too? They are not permitted. It will need to be just a fish in a 5-gallon tank or an emotional support or service animal. And then when it comes to electronics, I like to point out that students can bring things like TVs and speakers, but we ask that they're mindful of those around them and making sure that they don't bring anything crazy, no subwoofers or anything like that, just to make sure that our residence halls remain a safe, quiet, peaceful environment for students to learn and to sleep and to enjoy their time at college. We can move on. This is our contact information. I run a team of student ambassadors here, like Gillian, who's answering your questions in the chat. So if you have any questions, we're open from 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and we would love to help you guys. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to Christine.
All right. Well, I want to thank both of our presenters today for sharing this excellent information about housing and dining and all the things to expect with your student living on campus. We do have just a couple of minutes left for some questions. And so one of the things that we had submitted on our Instagram that I wanted to ask Emma is, can students bring bed risers, and what might that look like in the residence halls?
Yeah, so we do have some residence halls that have movable style furniture, and you are welcome to bring bed risers if you are in one of those halls. So that'd be like Horn Knapp in Carpenter Wells, a few different options. Those beds are going to be compatible with bed risers, and you're welcome to use them. Just make sure you're keeping an eye on that. We do have the majority of our halls with fixed furniture where those would be pretty moot. So if you're wanting to bring them to your movable style, I say go for it.
All right, thank you. Another question, and this one is for Dee. This has popped up a lot regarding open up dates and hours. Lots of folks are saying their students are maybe moving in a little earlier and just want to know what dining options are available earlier. And so can you tell us where they would find that information?
Sure. So great questions, and it came in quite a bit. So I appreciate you guys as patient with us. So we call them different things. So the first thing is what we call summer interim. This is the period when summer school ends, and that would be August 3rd through August 9th. Okay. Now, the first day of early move-in is August 10th, and that's what we're going to call our open up hours. So from August 10th to August 21st. Now, during both of those periods, we will have dining locations open, but I don't know what those are yet. Our department is still working through and finalizing that list. What I can tell you is that this information will be shared on our main website, hospitality.ttu.edu, and I would anticipate by August 2nd is when we're going to share that information, if not earlier. So I appreciate y'all's patience with that. Now, for those looking at fall hours, when you go to our website and you click on dining hours, currently it displays summer dining options, and that's because summer school is still ongoing. However, if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you're going to see a black rectangle that says 2024 fall dining hours. I also linked it in my reply to Miss Beth that you can see there, but you can click on fall 24 dining hours if you're curious on what that looks like. And that's where earlier when I was talking about being open from 7 in the morning till about midnight, 7 days a week, you can find all of that information.
Wonderful. So bottom line, if your student moves in earlier, there definitely will be somewhere for them to eat. So please do not worry about that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And then real quickly, another question that I've seen a couple of times, and this one is for housing. Oh, where did it go? Oh, here it is. So do students have to clean out their residence hall between the fall and spring semesters?
No, they do not. So our campus does close for winter break. So we have limited staff here, and the residence halls will be locked. Students will not have access to those buildings. So they do not need to completely move out and take everything and then start all over in the spring. But they will need to take what they need for those couple weeks that they're at home or on vacation with you, as they will not be able to go back in if they forget a laptop or medications or anything.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, feel free to keep those questions coming. We are at just past our 30 minutes, so we are going to stop the recording here in a moment, but we'll stay behind and continue to type answers to your questions using that Q&A feature. We would love for you to take our quick survey on how we did with today's webinar. So if you have a moment, please do that. Know that I will send you later on today the link to this recording, and we'll also share in that email the links to housing and hospitality and the survey, so you can have those links a little bit later today. Once again, I want to thank our presenters and thank all of you for joining us. We appreciate your being here. So at this point, I am going to go ahead and stop our recording, but please do keep those questions coming in the Q&A feature. We'll continue to answer those for you. Thanks, everyone.